Lewis Ott for the Ring magazine. Delighted today to be joined on Zoom with Eddie Hearn here on a nice Friday afternoon. Look, a lot has happened this week, Eddie. But first thing first, how are you, mate? How's everything?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm here in New York. Few meetings over the next couple of days before we fly to Riyadh, and looking forward to that show next week. And a big schedule announced already. I was just saying in an interview, like it just seems that boxing's red hot at the moment. I mean, we're selling more tickets than we've ever sold. So many events are sold out, flying, and it's been it's nice to have a little week off last week, a little chill, but it's got a very busy period coming up. Obviously for us with Riyadh season next week, Australia the week after, then we go into Newcastle and Mexico, and the huge fight at Windsor Park in Belfast. The Dave Allen card selling so well. Kieran Conway, Boots will be announced shortly. Yeah, it's going to be a really busy spell.
Yeah, as I say, exciting stuff. Obviously, massive news this week of the announcement of Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. 2. It seems all locked in now for November 15th back at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Yeah, you must be buzzing to get this rematch back over the line again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was frustrating that September 20th looked like it was going to fall through. I think obviously a lot of people expected that to be the date. We were definitely one of them, and so was Turki Al Sheikh. Chris wasn't ready for that date, but he is ready for November 15th. Back to Spurs, back to the scene of one of the best fights for, I think, many decades in British boxing. And you're going to get, I think, an even better fight. I think you're literally going to get round 13 of the first fight. And I believe Conor Benn will win this fight this time. I know that Eubank will be the favourite going in, but I think when Conor Benn stops him, which I believe he will, on November 15th, then it's going to be a big upset. But can't wait. Another huge night for British boxing, and yeah, looking forward to another great build-up.
How does the magnitude of the second fight compare to the first, do you think? Do you think it's as big?
Yeah, I think that we live in a strange world of like, we're always looking for a little bit of negativity.
Hmm.
Like someone came up to me the other day and he went, like, what do you think of the rematch? Like, that fight was the best fight I've ever seen. Right. I go, yeah, same. And he goes, so like, do you think there should be a rematch? Just listen to what you're just saying, right? It was the best fight you've ever seen. You know the next fight is going to be one of the best fights you've ever seen. But still, we look at a reason why not to make. The other hand, Conor Benn goes to fight someone at 147. People moan that that's not a great fight. Eubank fights someone else. They moan he's not fighting Conor Benn. So you can't really win either way. All I'm saying is, last time out, you witnessed one of the best fights you've ever seen. This fight will be even better. Conor Benn will not go in there and decide to box or box off the back foot, and nor will Eubank. They will go straight back at it. And for me, Conor Benn took part of Chris Eubank's soul that night. Eubank won, and I think he was right to get the decision. It's a very close fight. But they both had to go to horrific places. And listen, physically, it was tough for Conor as well. But Eubank is older. He's in his mid-30s. And those kind of fights take their toll.
Mm.
And Eubank's a brave, proud man. He's not going to come in and try and, box off the back foot and survive. He's going to go to war again. And it will be another brutal affair.
Is it same terms in terms of 160 and rehydration?
Yeah. I mean, same contract that we signed for. They were always the terms that we accepted the two fights on. Eubank will make his championship weight again. And on we go.
What would you make of the public criticism that comes with that? Because it was a criticism for the
I
first
don't
fight.
understand. Yeah, I mean, like, I still don't understand. I mean, one thing's for sure, the rehydration was no issue to Eubank. He weighed in with all his clothes on, and he was half a pound under. Like he made the rehydration comfortably. The 160, which is his weight, okay. Like this whole narrative about what do you think about bringing Eubank down to 160? That's his fucking weight class. I don't understand. Like that's like me saying to you, I don't know, like I don't know, Callum Smith. What do you think about Callum Smith fighting at 175? That's what Callum Smith fights at. Eubank's last six fights have been at 160. Is he tight at 160? Yeah. Like 95% of other fighters who fight at their championship weight. So, the fact that Eubank, again, is fighting at his championship weight, I don't see the argument. It's only if you really want to have an argument that you even bring that up. We still don't focus on the fact that Conor Benn He's in with a guy that is considerably bigger than him. And we saw that in the first fight. Like, you'd have to be an idiot not to look at that first fight and say, Eubank has a massive size advantage over Conor Benn. Fact, you know?
Was there at some point in negotiations Chris trying to at least change the
No,
160 limit? Okay.
no.
Because
We've had no approach about, and we wouldn't accept it either, because it's not what we signed up for, and what you don't do is you don't change things halfway through a deal. Now listen, if you don't want the fight, that's another thing, but you don't come back and say, yeah, hang on. And you have to understand, Louis, as well, we took the fight on the basis of the 2-fight deal. We knew that Conor had been inactive, right? We knew that he was stepping up 2 divisions, and we knew that with 2 bites of the cherry, we believe we'll get him. And respect to Eubank for honouring the rematch. I mean, look, he's getting paid handsomely, but he kept his word. He's running it back, and I believe this time we win.
has there been more clarification on the situation with Eubank and Boxer for this fight, or is it still?
No, I don't know. I mean, in all of these situations, Seller or Turkey Al Sheikh will deal directly with the teams. This wasn't us speaking to Eubank about the dates. This was Seller, come to us and said, how do you feel about November? And Conor went, yeah, listen, mate, I'll fight him whenever. I'd rather September, like we said, but no problem with me. And then they spoke individually to Eubank and to Nova Sports to get everything down. I don't know how involved Boxer are, if they're involved in the discussions. I would probably think so. I know that Eubank came out and said, I'm not signed to Boxer, but I have a partnership. So I presume the partnership carries on.
Would you moving on to, obviously still sort of talking about Boxer, obviously news come out this morning actually of their deal on BBC. Still obviously to be seen what sort of the details are of that deal, but I guess initially boxing on the BBC, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's great. I mean, look, I know, again, sometimes you always look for the negativity. A lot of people are saying, yeah, but they're not paying a lot of money, and how are you going to make big fights? True, but it's still on terrestrial TV, which I think is great for boxing. There's been others that have done boxing on the BBC in recent years. Dennis Hobson, Chris Sanagar, and hopefully the BBC will really get behind it from a platform point of view. I know, then they're not going to pay significant rights fees, but we actually receive, because it's obviously publicly funded. We received the tender last week to apply, see if we wanted to do the production, because obviously we have a production company as well. Yeah. So we got sent the full details of what it was, which is 4 shows a year. Okay. This is how it works. These are the fighters. It was quite weird to see that land on the desk. Yeah. We were going to go for it for a laugh, but we decided not to. But I thought it would have been funny if we turned up to do the production. But yeah, that's what it said on the tender document, 4 shows a year. I think it's good. It's great to see another broadcaster involved in boxing.
When it comes to obviously their key assets in fighters being the ones of Adam Azim, Ben Whittaker, I looked at what Chris McKenna said today on the Daily Star, and he said that those fighters have held talks with rival promoters. Can you confirm whether rival promoters like yourself have held talks with Adam?
Look, we've definitely had representatives from those fighters reach out and ask us questions, and I'm going to lie about it. And the standard reply is always, until we have confirmation that you're not under a promotional agreement, we're not willing to have those discussions. I know that a number of those fighters are also talking to other promotional companies. But again, like for us, we don't need, you always need the best talent, but there are a specific number of fighters from that stable who we would make a major financial play for if they were contractually available. And, again, like there's people who represent those fighters, so their job is to go to the marketplace and get the flavour. And that's what they've been doing. But we're only interested in, showing the ingredients when you're contractually free to do so. And again, I don't know, you might ask this question next, and people, is it true that, the fighters are signed to Sky and not Boxer? Is it true that if Ben doesn't have the exclusive deal with Sky, they're free to leave? And these are all things that the reality is, I don't know. We will make sure that we won't put ourselves in a poor legal position. So we will only, make those offers when we feel the time is appropriate. And I guess that will be imminent.
Would you say that the likes of like a Ben Whittaker is at the pick of the bunch then?
I think Ben Whittaker has all the potential to be a global superstar. And with that in mind, the only place you can become a global superstar, in my opinion, to be built into that is via Matchroom with our global platform and our opportunity for you to take part in major shows around the world. There's still, in my opinion, a lot of building that needs to go into Ben Whittaker commercially for him as a fighter. I think what Ben needs is activity, and he needs the platform, and he needs a real good, solid plan rather than, oh yeah, you can get out maybe in November, December. It's like, no, show me the plan. That's what I would be saying if I was in charge of running these guys' careers. Because a lot of those fighters have been so inactive.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the likes of, Caroline Dubois and Lauren Price, like they're fighting twice a year. Should be fighting 4 times a year minimum. Whittaker should be fighting 4 or 5 times a year. Azim, the same. So I guess now the move is from Boxer to try and convince those fighters that this is a good move for their career. And obviously the selling point will be it's a bigger audience, but unfortunately,
can they afford to? Can they afford to?
No. I mean, the problem is the deal won't have a significant financial rights fee element.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's just fact. So, but it doesn't, not everyone's got to do massive shows with massive names. You could still deliver 4 shows a year with British and Commonwealth Championship fights and really good nights of boxing, which would benefit the sport. So, we'll see. Look, I'm sure they're going to do their best to keep the fighters, and we might sign some, we might sign none. Queensbury might sign 7. I don't know, or we might. We'll see what happens.
Before I do let you go, there's a lot of noise about a potential opponent for Jaron Ennis. I know, obviously, Josh Kelly was one that was spoken about, but Adam Booth and Josh Kelly were pretty sort of quick to shut that down, saying the offer was derisory, I think the word that Booth used. A new one has emerged as of last night, Wisma Lima, potentially being talked about. Is there a lot of legs in Lima being the front runner for Jaron Ennis's return?
Yeah, Lima's in the pot. I mean, Lima's a different kind of guy. I think a lot of these guys, so many people who we've spoken to price themselves out. Like Lima's the guy who's been slung in the lion's den in his last 3 fights, gone away from home and beat undefeated fighters. He's a dangerous fighter. Top 10, I think, with 3 governing bodies, IBO world champion. He's in a list of 4 or 5 who we worked on. Josh, Adam, obviously they're clever at the game as well.
What was that? What was the deal on the offer? Because what Adam said to me, he said it was less than what Josh got for a 10-rounder. I think.
No. Yeah. What he said was it was less than he got for the Ishmael Davis fight.
Okay.
On Riyadh season, but obviously he was fighting Liam Smith.
Yeah.
And he was drastically overpaid for that fight.
Yeah.
So the offer was less, which is true, than he was getting to fight Liam Smith on Riyadh season. The problem is it's not a Riyadh season card.
Yeah.
So the offer, I think, was a very fair offer, but not if you liken it to what he received in a deal of a lifetime to fight Ishmael Davis. But the business don't work like that. Do you know what I mean? So listen, I don't blame Josh and Adam. It's a very, very tough fight. Everyone talks a good game, but no one believes they can go to Philadelphia and beat Boots. And, I'll make one thing clear as well. We have signed Jaron Ennis to fight Virgil Ortiz. Okay. We had a meeting with the Zone and Go Golden Boy. All the terms were set out for that big event. Jaron's new extension with us has signed for all of those terms to fight Virgil Ortiz next. So we're in January, February, whenever that's going to be. And, the plan is for Boots to fight in October, Virgil to fight in October, and then they're straight in. Wow. So people can moan and this. We have signed for that fight. And it's not, oh, yeah, but what terms did you sign? No, we signed the terms that everybody agreed. Very fair for both fighters. I mean, it's pretty transparent what the deal's going to be. It's a massive fight for US boxing. So hopefully Virgil Ortiz steps up and we give American boxing what I think is one of the best fights in the sport.
It's great news to hear on a Friday afternoon. Appreciate that. Eddie, look, appreciate you taking time to speak to me as always. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the time in the Big Apple, and I'm sure we'll be catching up next week in Riyadh. Cheers, mate.
Let me speak soon,
Cheers,
mate.
mate.